colostrum repairs the mucosal lining in your stomach.
Correct.
So if you could tighten up those tiny little perforations, right, and get rid of them, change your gut, change your life. Colostrum works on the gut unbelievably. Right? Colostrum can build muscles more powerful than steroids in the gym.
Wow.
Okay. I found that to be just absolutely amazing. My dad, he'll be 81 at the end of January here. And, I had him on our colostrum, and he'd been only taking the maintenance dose,
Yeah.
okay, for 40 days. And he had his blood work done. And the doctor literally said, you have the blood work panel of a 20-year-old male. And
Wow.
he's never had a perfect blood test. Grabbing it within those 6 hours is huge, because that's when it's at its most potent, and that's when it's in its truest whole food form, which in return, yes, the nutrients, they stay there.
Yeah, and I think you were saying that it was also biocompatible, that they've actually analyzed this product that it's very similar to human colostrum.
Let me give you a cool little thought on that. I have a dentist in my group, and she knew about colostrum, and she does tooth extractions. And she used to pack after the tooth extraction it with colostrum. And she got a hold of ours, and she said, there's something different about your colostrum. I said, yeah, there's an energy to it. And she started packing her patients' tooths with our colostrum, and they were healing faster than the other colostrum. So I thought that to be really cool, because I never knew dentists would pack a tooth after with colostrum.
Yeah.
But it makes a lot of sense.
But I got milk kefir, and I ordered some organic colostrum, and I would add the colostrum to the milk kefir.
Yeah.
I think I researched, and I found people who were making it themselves, and they were doing it with the milk kefir and the colostrum. And as soon as I had it, it felt like I'd had a really, really strong dose of GC-MAF.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Health Alliance Australia podcast. My name is Jeannie Rose Anchwartha, and I will be your host today. Health Alliance Australia is dedicated to honouring bodily autonomy and well-informed health choices. Today, we welcome Keith Gilbert. Keith and I are connected on LinkedIn, and I mentioned to Keith that our previous podcast guest, Di Ellis, healed herself from Lyme disease and chronic fatigue by mixing, and one of the things she used was she mixed colostrum with kefir grains. And I was surprised to find that colostrum is actually a whole food supplement with 700 nutrients that can rebuild, repair, regenerate the entire system of the body, and has 172,000 scientific studies. So I've invited Keith here today to share more about this whole food supplement. And this also ties in with our two recent interviews with Dr. Garrett Smith and Ross Walter, which talks about providing adequate nutrition, especially after detoxification. So welcome, Keith. Thank you for coming today. If you would firstly like to introduce yourself to the audience.
Sure. And again, yeah, thank you, Jeannie, for having me. Again, my name is Keith Gilbert. I've really been in holistic nutrition since 2001. I'm currently a independent associate for a company named Anovite, and we do have the first and only 6-hour colostrum in the entire world. We definitely like, helping out not only people, but their pets as well. And, just really want to help out everybody that's out there and learn about this wonderful whole food named colostrum.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about this before, and I said to you, I've been in natural health for a long time myself, and I've heard about colostrum. Some people might mention it, but I rarely had an explanation of what colostrum actually is. So if you'd like to tell the audience, what is colostrum in nature? How is it? What is its role?
Yeah, wow. I mean, that is Yeah, that is a good question. You know, let's look at it this way. Colostrum was life's first food. Okay, this came before fire was discovered. You know,
Yeah.
let that settle in for a second. And you know, generally, colostrum is not only just produced, you know, from a human, it's also produced within animals. You know, when they give birth to their youngins, uh, the youngins look for that colostrum to start their life into this world. Um, I got introduced to colostrum about 5 years ago, and I did some research on it. And one of the things that stuck with me, that really amazed me, was the fact that colostrum can build muscles more powerful than steroids in the gym.
Wow.
Okay, I found that to be just absolutely amazing. So that's when I started diving into it. And of course, right, just like a lot of things, not everything is created equal. So you have to do your research. You know, you really have to, you know, start digging for it. And I did. I looked, and nothing really came so much appealing to me until I saw the 6 hour version. And that's when I really said, okay, you know, we've arrived. So basically, colostrum should be a whole food, not a supplement. So the difference is, right, whole food has not been tampered with, where a supplement means, you know, it's man-made.
Yes.
And you know, so colostrum basically is life's first food. And when you think about it, how much would the body recognize that
Mm.
type of food and that type of nutrition? You know, so you know, there's a lot of places and people that are trying to bring nutrition to the cells, bring nutrition for this. But let's go back to the drawing board, right? Let's go back to beginning of creation in a whole food form, the way that it should have been.
Yeah, so like we were talking about how a lot of the supplements given are actually synthetic, and even things like colostrum have been contaminated or I guess interfered with to try and I guess make more money. I think before this we were talking about how the original this is your model, this is the only colostrum that is a whole food based one, which contains all the essential fat as well that allows it to get into the cells. Is that correct?
That is correct. The fat actually, it's a good fat, of course, and it actually allows for the nutrients to cross the blood-brain barrier as well. Now, I just wanted to say something about what you just said. You said 700 nutrients. We have actually changed the language on that. We
Okay.
are now saying, yeah, we are now saying 700 categories.
All right. Yep.
Okay, and one of the categories in the 6 hour colostrum is polypeptides. Now, there is over 3,000 polypeptides in this colostrum. So think about that, right?
Mm.
And you know, when you look on pubmed.gov, of course, don't take my word for it. Polypeptides really helps out with Alzheimer's and dementia. Um, okay, 699 more categories to go, right?
Yes.
So there's so much in it, and nothing can destroy it. Oxygen can't destroy it. Heat can't destroy it, because when you have it in a true 6 hour window, it's really now a whole food.
Yeah, and I was thinking about you mentioned that the Rashi Indians and the spiritual leaders who are essentially vegans
Yes,
regard this as a holy product almost that they have taken for thousands of years. And I was doing when I was doing my own health journey, I realized that even in the book of the Essenes, it talks about drinking the milk from the beast. And here we have a product that is designed to nourish the body in a very powerful way. And I think being with how much our body is in need here of detoxification, which also requires nutrients to repair. It's such an amazing product. If you can just even take it for a short period of time, you'll definitely replenish all of those nutrients and that you've missed, perhaps through the modern diet and the modern lifestyle.
Absolutely.
So I was going to ask you, with the product, you've had it independently tested and you've sent me some information about it. So are you saying that something about reversing aging? Can we talk about that? How it does that?
Absolutely. You know, there's something, and I'm sure a lot of people have heard of this, and maybe they know only so much about it, but it's called HGH, right? That stands for human growth hormone. And when you were younger, you know, back in your 20s, so to speak, your body produced this all the time. And, you know, that's why you could, you know, relatively say that when you're in your 20s, you're younger, and as you get older, you age, because your body stops producing it probably maybe around early 30s, so to speak. And nowadays, with the way the diet is, probably even sooner, fortunately. Well, interesting enough, you know, there are things out there called HGH injections, okay?
Really?
And people spend a lot of money every year, you know, to go get these injections. And what they're doing is they're actually grabbing the growth factors out of colostrum and bringing it back and synthesizing it.
Right.
So why not get HGH in a whole food form from the source, right? Going back to that source again, right? And get it naturally that way. And so, of course, when you do your research on HGH, it is, you know, it's literally like the fountain of youth. You know, it just starts to calibrate, you know, your metabolic age, right? So you could be 90 years old, but if you go to test your metabolic age, don't be surprised that you'd be in your 20s.
Yeah. So people have had some measurable results taking colostrum and going back and getting retested on their metabolic age.
Oh yeah, matter of fact, my dad, he'll be 81 at the end of January here, and you know, I had him on our colostrum, and he'd been only taking the maintenance dose,
Yeah.
okay, for 40 days, and he had his blood work done, and the doctor literally said, "You have the blood work panel of a 20-year-old male," and
Wow.
he's um, never had a perfect blood test. It was never bad, but it was never good. You know, it was just always something. And here he had flying colors across the board.
And you
So,
attribute that to what all of the whole makeup within the colostrum. So because when you sent this through, there's, you know, pages and pages of amino acids, essential amino acids. I mean, we could spend all day talking about it, non-essential amino acids, the mineral profile. I mean, there really are trace minerals in all of this. But
oh yeah.
obviously the ability for the body to absorb other nutrients and how it heals the gut. Is there research on how it actually does heal the gut?
Well, what they've done is, you know, again, 172,000, like you said earlier, published studies on PubMed.gov about this bovine colostrum. And again, that was not our colostrum, right? So, but this is what I do know to be true is that, see, I truly believe that a lot of people suffer from what's called leaky gut syndrome. Okay. And this colostrum repairs the mucosal lining in your stomach.
Correct.
So if you could tighten up those tiny little perforations, right, and get rid of them, change your gut, change your life. Colostrum works on the gut unbelievably. I mean, it is, you know, and when you think about it, now that we're on the subject, there's over 1.2 million, okay, studies done on the gut biome. So, when they do these studies, right, they're not just doing it because they think it's cool. They're doing it because there's something there.
Yes.
And I do truly believe that you got two brains. You got one in your head, you got one in your gut, and they connect with each other. And so if your gut ain't right, your brain's trying to communicate with your gut, and it's wasting its energy trying to worry about parasites, right, leaky gut, all this stuff. And I think when you get the two finally aligned right, all these things start changing. you
Yes.
know
And it's been
these
tested.
problems start turning around naturally.
Yeah, and I think you've said here too, it's been tested for pesticides, antibiotics, and heavy metals.
Oh yeah.
I think people would be quite concerned about being an animal product. How does it? I'm kind of curious. How do you get a fresh product like colostrum to the masses in a supplement and still retain all of those nutrients?
Well, here's what's interesting. Another, I don't think I'll ever fully ever um, know colostrum ever. I really, it's something that you're always constantly learning something new about every day. I think that's what also fascinates me about it. But here's the thing. I get a lot of vegans and even vegetarians, right?
Hmm.
That they say, "Oh no, I can't. I can't have that it's from an animal. It's from the
Yes.
cow." And I go, look, I go, colostrum is not animal nor vegetable. It's in a class in itself. You have to understand, it is a pre-milk fluid. So you can, like you had said with in India, they consume colostrum, a lot of it, and most of them are vegans and vegetarians. So that's I just wanted to kind of start off with saying that. But as in the nutrients, it's going in there in the first 6 hours and grabbing it, because what happens is after 6 hours, okay, when you're in your seventh and eighth and ninth hour, the cow starts to immediately produce what we buy in the stores, milk.
Okay.
And yeah, and so, okay, there's still colostrum there, but guess what? Now there's that word transitional milk coming into it, watering it down, lactose gets in there, right? And so you don't want that. And so that's how we're able to keep the nutrients in there. Might I add, we have over 5,000 USDA grade A grass-fed cow accounts, small mom and pop farmers across the country.
Fantastic.
And I get asked a lot too, right? They go, well, is all of it grass-fed? No, not all of it is grass-fed, because there's winter times. Okay. So they bring the cow in the stall, but generally, this is what's interesting also about what we do, is generally they'll let cows lick on salt slabs. Well, we've designed our own special nutrient like limestone for them to lick on. And that's where a lot of the nutrients comes from. It's not from the grass.
Mm.
It's from that special limestone that we have in there for them. And again, grabbing it within those 6 hours is huge, because that's when it's at its most potent, and that's when it's in its truest whole food form, which in return, yes, the nutrients, they stay there.
Yeah, and I think you were saying that it was also biocompatible, that they've actually analyzed this product that it's very similar to human colostrum. Is that correct? Is that what I've
Yeah, it's not species specific.
okay, that's what you
So,
meant.
so you can give it to an animal, a dog, a cat, a human. Um, it's not tied to it. And if you read in my write-up that I sent you, right, it's not like a lot of other animals how the cow does it, because it doesn't go through any internal organs to get there. It just drops right down into the sack. It's like a gift.
Wow.
And yeah, it's
And I sort of
really amazing.
wonder if this is, the whole agenda why they're trying to get it at cattle in particular, with various things, injections, trying to stop them farting, is that they're trying to contaminate what is nature's gift within the colostrum here. So obviously with your cattle, you're protecting that source right down to the small family farm and having a relationship with the farmers and the land.
That's right. And, I had a conversation with somebody about this a couple weeks ago, and I said, as much as you hear about all these cow stories, right? I say cows ain't going anywhere. I mean, it's just cream and milk is used for so much and part of our civilization. It's not even funny. So the cow ain't going anywhere. But I would have to agree with you. There is some type of situations that you hear about with that.
And I think that's a good point here to address that we started to, before we started this interview, I asked you about, and I mentioned to you that normally we don't have multi-level marketing companies. I don't usually like to promote them because of just the bias within that. But you were saying that this actually started as a retail product, but the founder had to move it to a different model. Can you explain the story behind that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree with you 100% on what you said about that, when it comes to the network marketing word. And this company is different, as in, it's not a startup, right? We've already been proven we're going on 34 years. But for the first, I would say 27 years of this company's existence with this product, they were retail stores, you know, and they got 1 million customers and we're in 40 different countries. But what they came across a lot of was they came across a lot of stores and a lot of people that wanted to put fillers in this colostrum. Okay. And like you said, the founder, he has too much integrity for his product and he would not allow that. And so because of all that, how do you get that out to the masses when it's sitting on a store shelf?
Yeah.
There is no story behind it, right? There is no word of mouth about it. It's just a price tag and a bottle. And you have to do your own research to find out what's in that bottle. And a lot of people don't do that. So he wanted to move to another means of distribution. And that's when he came across this business model.
Mm. And I wonder if they try and take the fat out of these particular products and colostrum. We were talking before about how you were saying other colostrums have the fat removed for shelf life, because I think it does tend to increase shelf life when you do take the fat out of a product. Obviously, it's all about cost cutting and so forth. So did you want to explain how your particular product does differ? Because you've obviously done a lot of research here from other colostrums perhaps on the market.
Oh yeah, it's night and day. Let's talk about the fat first. You'd be surprised, a lot of them have defatted it, which I'll never understand. And I guess that's my job not to understand, because that's one of the most important parts to it all. And let me give you an example. There was somebody that, of course, came to me with another colostrum, and it had 400, it said 400 nutrients. It literally says contains milk, and it says do not put in a hot beverage.
Okay.
Wow. Okay. Well, I told you we have 700 categories. Okay. So my first question is, where did the other 300 go in theirs? Okay. Ours does not at all say contains milk. The only ingredient we have on the back of our bag is colostrum.
Mm.
Okay. And third, do not put in a hot liquid. Wow. I put mine in my coffee every morning, that's because it's a true whole food. Now, when you have a supplement, yeah, I wouldn't put it in warm or hot water either, because it's going to deteriorate a lot of the nutrients. So yeah, it's different. It's different. And, we have Cornell University over here backing it. Yeah, don't take just our word for it, right? Cornell has tested several other different colostrums, and they said that ours is the only 6 hour on the planet.
Okay, so it obviously tastes okay, because I know when people are taking supplements, especially the whole food ones, they can taste pretty icky. So you can put it in your coffee. Is it tasteless? Is that how, or does it add something to your coffee that you don't mind the taste of it?
No, yeah, let me paint a picture for you on that. That's an interesting question. And if somebody ever asked me that, I tell them it like this. Well, we have powder, we got them in a 2 pound and a 1 pound bag, which that's rare to find too. And when you open it up and you smell it, okay, I want you to picture you're opening up a bag of Betty Crocker or Duncan Hines cake mix.
Oh,
And
right.
it's,
Wow.
yeah, and it smells really good. You're like, wow, you just want to cook with it, right? But like you said, when you're mixing it with water, I like just like 4 ounces of water in mine. Take a little milk frother and down it, and that's it. Or put it in coffee, froth it up. It has to be frothed because it's too raw. A spoon or a fork ain't gonna break it up.
Mm,
But to answer your question, taste. Well, when you have the water, it tastes a little like milk. It's
okay.
like, but it's not completely milk. It is kind of flavorless, but not flavorless. It's just got a really smooth taste to it that nobody has ever said, oh God, I can't stand this stuff.
Yes,
Yeah.
so
So
it comes both in a powder form and
yeah.
and you do have another product there as well that is not just colostrum. Is that right? You've had some various products we talked about, and one has zeolite in it and the other ones doesn't.
Yeah. So when I start thinking about the other products, right? Now I move over out of the whole food talk to the word supplements.
Yes.
Yes, man-made, right? Um, Interesting enough, you know, they most of them, if not all, are colostrum based, and that's you'll see that when you do your research on all this. They're colostrum based, and the doctor has formulated one called GB6. Anytime you see a six at the end of anything, it's colostrum based. That stands for gut biome. And then, yes, like you had said with the zeolite, the Limu Z6, those are kind of like our three big hitters. Yes, they intensify the colostrum, even though the colostrum, as you can see, it's perfect by itself without anything else they got. He was just tapping into, the gut biome, other probiotics
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
So people can choose to have it with or without within your product range if they want a different intensity. Because as I was saying, there's some people that just don't want to have any zeolites. So there is obviously a product they can have that's a whole food natural product within the product range. They can put it in their coffee, hot chocolate, or whatever it is.
Exactly.
And
Yeah,
it's
we always start with the colostrum, right? And then
yeah,
they figure out what else they want after that, if they
and
want anything.
it's not so in terms of pricing, I think one of the things when people are on a health journey is just how expensive it can be. Some people
Sure.
are spending, hundreds of dollars a week on supplements.
Mhm.
And one of the things that struck me about your product was how inexpensive it is to actually take. So if you wanted to, what is the sort of cost that people are looking at when they say first starting? You were saying that you would load it up when you first start and you might taper it off. You might go off it completely if you feel like it, or if you feel like you've got to a certain level, you no longer need it, or you can continue taking it as a maintenance dose. So when you are taking it as a maintenance dose at that point, what sort of cost are people looking at?
Yeah, I mean, as low as $28 for, I always like to say a bottle of the most highest octane food on the planet. You can't beat that. But I always steer people to the powder, and I'll tell you why. Because I use the word loading doses at that point in time, right? Let me
Yep.
paint you a picture with that. 1 tablespoon of this colostrum is the equivalent of 18 capsules. Okay. And because remember, it's a food, you can never overdo it.
Mm,
Okay. Versus supplements, you could hurt
yeah.
yourself, right? So nobody's generally going to take 18 capsules. I mean, maybe there is, but sometimes it's hard to get people to just take 2 or 3.
Mm,
So why not just put a little 4 ounces of water, mix up a tablespoon of powder, and boom, you got a lot of good nutrition uh, entering the body. Um, what makes them um, our company very special is that we don't have any third parties, so everything's made in house, which is able for us to keep the prices down. But this is the way I kind of explain it when people talk about price. I go, did you go to the grocery store this week? Okay, how much did you spend? Oh, if you don't mind me asking, oh, I spent $200. Okay, well, with us, it's food.
mm,
So you bought that food. Now I know you need different stuff, eggs and meat, but you're looking for nutrition. We all are somehow. Uh, what would you pay? What would you pay for this food? And you can't, for like how cheap it is, for $28. I can almost promise you, whatever you bought in a grocery store wouldn't even come close to it.
yeah. And of course, it's going
Not
to
even come close.
improve the quality of what you're actually digesting because it's going to heal your gut. So it's going to make more value out of the actual food that you're actually taking, you're actually eating as
Yeah,
well.
and
So $28, I mean, I know it splits hairs, but how long would that last you?
30 days.
Which is,
30 days.
I mean, less than $1 a day. And when
Yeah,
you consider the value for what you're getting, it's pretty cheap, really.
unbelievably cheap. Hmm.
Yeah, especially when you're considering other supplements and how expensive it is to get that value. Because essentially what we're trying to do is people are trying to heal from a lot of deficiencies that colostrum is able to provide for. Do you take any other supplements? I'm just curious. Or is this your major thing?
Yeah, literally, I really truthfully don't need anything else. Um, the company does have this one product they made called OxyQuest. And that's, a lot of people have heard of hydration drops before. Of course, you need a good water with your food, right? So, I take that with it. I do take the GB6 and the Limu. But as in anything else, I really don't need anything that I can think of right now that I really would say that I have to take, because our colostrum has literally everything that you really need. That I could think of. Like you had mentioned, our body doesn't make some amino acids, right? Well, it has all the ones that it does make and the ones that it doesn't make. So I don't like telling people it's a one-stop shop, but it
Yeah,
is for me.
yeah. And
It
with
is for me.
with the clients that you know of who take this, what is sort of like, talk about the demographics of the sort of customers that might be interested in this product. I know when people are looking, are they people who are trying to heal their children of ADHD, autism, people with gut problems? What sort of people are looking at a product like this in
It
particular?
really is from A to Z to answer that question. But if I want to go with some higher percentiles, it's definitely autoimmune diseases, um, or deficiencies and gut problems for sure. Let me give you a cool little thought on that. Uh, I have a dentist in my group, and she knew about colostrum, and she does tooth extractions. And she used to pack after the tooth extraction it with colostrum. And she got a hold of ours and she said, there's something different about your colostrum. I said, yeah, there's an energy to it. And she started packing her patients' tooths with our colostrum, and they were healing faster than the other colostrum. So
Mm.
I thought that to be really cool, because I never knew dentists would pack a tooth after with colostrum,
Yeah.
but it makes a lot of sense, you
I mean,
know,
yeah, I mean, I can imagine people are using the colostrum and mixing it into creams and all sorts of different things.
facial, put on your face. Yep.
So have you tried that as well or not?
Yeah, well, the company has a serum and a cream, generally for women. But we also have a little home recipe to make your own colostrum mask, that you can put in the fridge and use it time to time. And the stuff is great.
So you can just
It
get
really,
the powdered colostrum and it becomes this magic potion that you can make various creams.
yeah, there's a
You can give
lot
it
of
to your,
different things. Yeah, you can cook with it. I
yeah.
got people who make dog treats. They bake cakes. I got a guy who puts it in his beef barley soup. It melts right in there. Um, Cuts and burns even. Um, it's very well rounded.
And people give it to their pets straight up.
Oh yeah, dogs and cats go really crazy for this colostrum. And I always tell people this. I go, I said, think about it this way. If you really truly want to know, if you want to take something, right, that it really works, okay, and it's really what they say it is, you give it to an animal, okay, because animals don't have placebo effects. Humans
Yes.
do. And uh, I had saved this woman's cat. Um, she was supposed to put down in 7 days because it had debilitating disease, and within 3 days on the colostrum it just turned it around.
Wow. That's pretty amazing that
Yeah,
products
she
can
couldn't she
do
couldn't
that.
believe it. Yeah, 15-year-old cat named Sheba. So that I already knew what it could do, but that was kind of like my first animal testimonial, so to speak, when that happened.
And really, it's not much of a risk at buying a $28 can of it. And all of a sudden, you can test it out if it works for you. And if it doesn't, certainly.
Yeah. And again, back to you go to the grocery store every day, every other day, and you buy that food. Um, why not get this food? It's kind of like pulling up. I also like to say, like, it's kind of like pulling up to the gas station and you got your regular, your mid-grade, and then your high octane gas.
Yes.
It's like filling up with high octane food.
Is there any other things that you wanted to cover, Keith, about what, because there is so much to cover here that's important to cover on colostrum.
Yeah. I mean, it's, from a young age to a middle age to even an older age, everybody should be considering and thinking and putting this whole food colostrum into their diet and into their life, into their family, into their pets. Um, it's definitely something that you have to look into. You really have to look into it with the day that we're living in. And then I understand a lot of people don't believe in supplementation and all that, but I think we've come to a point in time in our life that we have to take control of our lives and watch what they're putting on the back of these labels.
Mm.
And with one ingredient that provides 700 categories to your body and your family and your pets, you know, I've never seen anything like that. So, but colostrum in itself is life's first food. And so, if you want to tell, a lot of people use the word bioavailability, right? And it doesn't get any more bioavailability than that.
Yeah.
But yeah, colostrum is in a category. It's unique. It's in a category in itself. And a lot of people have heard about it, and a lot of people haven't. But it is
And
something to look into.
I think really getting back to the vegan vegetarian issue, I think that
Sure.
the concern by most vegans in particular is the issue of animal welfare. And that is why they're making a conscious decision not to consume things that are coming from animals. That is the basis of it. I'm not sure how your product ranks in that regard, but I just wanted to put that out there to you, that it's not necessarily an issue whether they just don't take dairy or eggs because it's for ethical reasons. A number of people would do and make that decision. Now, Keith, I just want to ask you about the newborn calves. What happens to them if you're taking the colostrum for human use?
Yeah, that's a great question. Per all of our 5,000 grass-fed cow accounts across the country, in our contracts that we have, the newborn calf has to get the very first 2 quarts of colostrum before we can even take anything for us to bring back and facilitate.
Well, that's excellent. It's good that I think you're looking at the whole cycle of the animal then as well. And can I also ask, with the farms that you're getting these cattle, the cattle are living on, are they following a sort of regenerative farming model?
Yeah, it's basically kind of the same that almost all the other other farmers would do with their cows. They are even testing them, to make sure that their all their cellular development is actually up to par before even starting to harvest the colostrum. And again, so summertime, they're out there grazing, right? And then wintertime, they're inside, licking on the limestone. What's kind of interesting is, especially in the summertime, cows get these, they come in contact with all these viruses,
Yes.
and they also come in contact with what's called deer ticks. Okay. And the cow ends up creating antibiotics. Now, when the cow creates these antibiotics, the antibodies are not delivered into the milk that we buy in the store. The antibodies are delivered to the colostrum.
Wow, that's amazing. It actually ties into another podcast that we did with Kevin McCann about how, and I don't know if you know that, but a lot of the wild deer actually have prion disease, like it's kind of mad cow disease, but within the deer. So it'd be interesting to see how this product could potentially, of course, it's not tested, be a healing mechanism for that. For this.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah. I mean, if the antibodies are in there and
yeah.
you're consuming it.
So your website is 6hourfood.com and keith11.com. I'll put them in the comments and the description as well, where people can buy and purchase the products. Is it distributed in, I think you said 40 different countries, yeah?
That is correct.
So if people were to find locally where they wanted to buy this, how do they go about this?
You said locally?
Yeah, how do they find it, depending on where they are in the world?
Yeah, you would only be able to get it at this moment in time for the past 7 years, now going on 8 here. You can only get it from an independent associate.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
You just
how
have
the
to find
company.
a distributor that is near you.
That's correct.
So would that be on your website where people can look it
Yeah,
up?
that's where you would have to go to get it, would be my website.
Okay, so we'll put that there. Both Keith and I are on LinkedIn. If you can contact us through there, I've got your email address. So I think we've covered it in quite a great detail today. And certainly you have more details on your website if anyone wants to have the scientific reports. Is that correct? Or they can email
Absolutely.
you.
I can always email them the third-party analysis, right? That's important. I did a nice write-up on it, which I presented to you that, goes past all the flashy websites and videos,
Yep.
right? Let's get into a real conversation. And but absolutely, yeah, I'm completely open.
Yeah, I think people are much more educated about what they want to consume these days. So it's the independent reports that are an excellent source. And I really thank you for sending those through to me because I know traditionally marketing is done with a lot of, pajazz. And you've sort of sold it to me more on the information side of it. So anyway, thanks everyone for watching today. You can all help us with the algorithm by subscribing, commenting, sharing, and liking our content on YouTube and Rumble. If you wish to support our work, you can do so by visiting our website, healthallianceaustralia.org, and also join our free mailing list. We are active on LinkedIn, so please join us there as well. Thanks everyone for joining us today.